provides an additional cooling feature. So even in all but the very hottest days of the year, there are 2 or 3 places in Masdar. Every bit of Masdar City is designed to be cooler than outside, and it's usually about 10 to 15 degrees cooler. But there are 2 or 3 places that are absolutely the lowest temperature year-round, and this is one of them. So why don't we watch sunlight? Not enough time to fully heat up. Also, you see the material here, and we'll actually do, I'll do this in the summer. It doesn't help right now, but we'll touch it to feel that it doesn't get hot. I mean, because asphalt, what typical city streets are made out of, is a great conductor of heat. It's probably it and sand are the greatest conductors of heat, and it's 2 things we have plenty of. So at Masdar City, we do not have the black streets that conduct heat so well. This material is designed not to absorb it, so the ground stays cooler. If you look, the hottest part of Masdar City is actually right up top there. It will always be because of the solar panels. Solar panels absorb heat very well. In fact, one of the reasons you'll see that they're 2 meters above the building, and that is because the solar panels would bring such great heat to the building, we'd have to spend a great deal of additional amount cooling the building. This was also a change. People, what did you learn when you did this? We learned it was more effective to put solar panels in the desert grouped together for installation, for operation, for cleaning, for everything, to get economies of scale in our solar panels instead of trying to put them on every individual roof. And also, if you look at the way our buildings are, in order to keep those designs, in order to keep those streets narrow and together, we're not building Carrefour or Walmart type buildings with really great big surface areas that are very easy to put solar panels together. We're building a city that has buildings of different shape, they're designed to reduce temperature, it's designed to maximize wind flow, and hence that makes the solar panels kind of a one-off. So each building gets to be a one-off. Much more effective economically and the same environmental impact to actually put them in utility, put them on the ground. But people always want to know about that. Why aren't solar panels in every building? And what did you learn? And that was one of our learnings and changes through the project. You guys here, jump in anytime.
You were just saying that everything is very close together, mixed use.
Mixed use community. You just come to the city, you park your car, then inside the city you don't need to use your car much. It's just you move from a place to place and all services are close to you.
And because it's so cool here, it's comfortable to walk.
Yeah, it's a place where you can live, you can play, you can work, so it's all in one.
Before you start adding the layer
Just talking about how
of technology on top of this.
Passionate about passive building.
There's a part of us saying that simplicity is the name of the game. So very often people ask us, what is this material? Is there something special about this, special about that? Not really. They're just kind of materials used appropriately in the right place as far as possible.
Anything that that's really new, because I imagine a lot of it is like reinventing the wheel. I mean, the fact that buildings close together give shade, I mean, that's all old knowledge.
That's right. It's a very interesting question, because when you look at the majority of the individual features of these buildings, none of them themselves are actually new or on the cutting edge or doing something that no one's done before. I think what we have that is new here is the opportunity to bring many, many ideas all together within one location. Because when you see these things, you see these features in other buildings and other developments in other parts of the world, and a lot of this is proven technology. But to bring it all together and to optimize it and to see what happens, and over the idea that we are in a day building a community as well, right? And in the economic factor that comes in, which is amounting to the 3 pillars of sustainability that we all generally talk about, is understanding when all these things come together in that interaction and seeing what actually happens. And of course, in this very harsh and unique climate we have here.
Open and hear the waves. Is that like a design feature, or is that also for keeping the climate bearable?
Like all good sustainable architecture, all these things, they do more than one job at the same time. And let me give you some examples here. On the right hand side here is the student accommodation residential building, and the left hand side is the laboratory building. if I start on the, both of them has a common feature, starting from the environmental side. The facades are designed in such a way to avoid direct sunlight from going into the building, right? Which may not be a great idea in buildings other places, but for here, in order to make a first step to control the cooling load, we design our buildings to avoid direct sunlight from going inside. So that's why you can see that the buildings are heavily shaded. On the residential, this shading acts as a balcony at the same time to give some outdoor space for the students living inside. The laboratories, they need some natural light in there, but if you see these natural light slots, they have these vertical slats that are orientated again to keep out the solar gain in the building. On the surfaces of the building, you see this plastic sheet on the surface. This is ETFE. ETFE, ethyl tetrafluoroethylene plastic sheet. I mean,
that's what you get by having Chris on the tour.
If anyone been in Beijing,
it's plastic to me, so that's why he's here.
The Q building, yes, it's the same similar type of material. Or for people who have ever seen the Eden project by Nicholas Grimshaw in southeast UK, those domes is the same thing. So it's insulative, but the reason why the architects selected this here, they wanted to experiment with a very, very lightweight material so that when the sun does hit it during the day, it heats up very quickly. When the sun goes away, it also throws up what little heat it has very quickly. And therefore, when you walk through here in the evening, you don't have this kind of permanent radiator effect that's on your head. So that's the purpose of this. And the light color is because it helps to bring some of the natural light down into the lower areas.
Do you have any data on energy use?
Buildings using inside. When we design these buildings in terms of the residential energy balance, we were using the ASHRAE 90.1 2004 system at the time, because this was designed about 5 years ago, and they were calculating it was a 51% energy reduction against the ASHRAE system. Okay. And some of the measurements we are getting from the residences are actually better than those figures. But I think it's safe to clarify that we have top sustainability students research leading these buildings as well. So we have the best of both worlds now, because we got the performances and we have people attuned to living in a certain way.
Okay, so you reduce energy consumption by more than half.
We're definitely reducing consumption compared to business as usual at more than half compared to international benchmarks. But if you compare it to the local benchmark, if you compare it to the current Abu Dhabi building stock, we are reducing even more than half. I mean, compared to what government here are measuring for existing building fabric, we are between 60 to 70% reduction.
In the early stages was to be a mixed-use community, to provide the basic services here. So this is the first organic food shop in Abu Dhabi. We have a bank, we have an Etisalat office.
Is that open for business?
Yes, it is. Something like this.
So why would Abu Dhabi invest in something like this?
And there are a couple of reasons. I mean, I think first is they would like to maintain a leadership position in energy. They're obviously with 8% of the world's oil, you are a leader in the oil field. But to become a leader in the oil field, you find the oil. It's pretty simple. You woke up one day and all of a sudden you have oil. To become a leader in sustainability and renewables is a much more difficult proposition. It takes an educated workforce. It takes the right companies. It takes being able to attract people from around the world to create that environment. It means the right legal and financial systems in place. And so Abu Dhabi has worked on putting those in place. One of the things they've done is significantly work on diversifying their economy, taking the oil money and saying, this is not a long-term sustainable way to live, which I think has been quite progressive. When you look at all the countries around the world that have oil or that make money by taking things out of the ground, the first thing you do is generally put the money in a Swiss bank account and count it and say thank you. But Abu Dhabi has really reinvested in its population and in the economy here. So it's things like healthcare, aerospace. So healthcare, aerospace, semiconductors, tourism. So they've really tried to diversify that economy. But all of these industries take an educated population. And Abu Dhabi's also invested in the education. So things like Masdar Institute here, but not just here, but New York University, INSEAD University. Also in paying for education around the world, in the US and the UK. Any Emirati who qualifies for any university in the world can get that picked up. So it's a comprehensive program, and Masdar is part of that. But Masdar City can't be the only thing. It's also a demonstration that in this environment, you can live in a way that uses significantly less resources. As even in Abu Dhabi, the resources are not infinite, and global warming is a problem, and they understand that right now, traditionally, after oil was discovered, that the Gulf states use significantly more energy per person than anywhere else. Partially due to the climate, partially due to the lifestyle, and partially due to a lifestyle that's more comfortable in this climate. But Masdar is a demonstration that even in difficult environment, that you can figure out ways to live that use less energy. And also, that the sustainability actually makes your life better. That in ways that don't have hard statistics around them, like how much less energy you're using. But if your children ride their bike to school, that's better for the environment and better for your kids. If you can walk to work, it's better for you, better for the environment. You'll see here that stairs are a big part of Masdar City. So every building we'll walk into, you'll see a prominently featured staircase. They call it the good for you, good for the environment plan. And so I think those are a lot of the reasons beyond, so the two main reasons why we're doing Masdar City and what the importance is for Abu Dhabi.
And it's simply more comfortable here with the cooler.
Exactly, it's simply more comfortable.
Is the noise normal? The noise that we hear now?
Some of the plant noise. You do hear, because there are no cars here, and because it's quiet, you do hear a bit more building noise. If we were on a normal city street, you'd never hear that because there'd be a lot more noise. But you do get some of the plant noise here.
I think it's in the original design, but what happened as the institute started fitting out the laboratories, they added more and more equipment to carry out some of the research they're doing, right? And they fitted more and more machines, and just what you're hearing now is part of that research that's going on.
So they have some different interesting water features here, but they recycle 100% of their water in Abu Dhabi in general, so also in Masdar City. There's a cat over there, so somebody here apparently already has a cat. Another nice water feature.
That's Wednesday, right? Yeah, that's kind of what we do. So we can see what I think would be nice to get into. Because it did that nice story about how it's in the and it would be nice to